Welcome. My name is Matt Reiners. I'm the co-founder of Eversound, and with me today is Shanna Eckberg, the Chief Operating Officer of American Baptist Homes of the Midwest, to discuss operations and technology. Shanna and I have become friends over the years and have bonded over our mutual love for helping older adults, utilizing technology to improve quality of life, and Harry Potter. Thanks for joining us today, Shanna.
Oh, thank you so much for the invite. I'm truly excited for this opportunity.
Awesome. So we'll jump right into it. Describe how ABHM has been able to scale operational changes to adapt to the pandemic and what learnings other senior living operators can take away from this.
Sure. In the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, trusting the experts, staying consistent and calm was what we as an organization focused on. We organized a communication method that really best suited our residents, their families, and our team members to assure a flow of messaging was occurring during this unprecedented time. We also developed policies and procedures as quickly as we could with our teams to make sure that we, again, had consistency, transparency, and organization to the best of our ability. That we found that really helps when there's a lot going on and sometimes you don't know what to do. You have to stick with being consistent, transparent, and just keep moving forward. So we also modified staffing as needed, and all positions were really doing everything that they could each day to sustain operations in the buildings. We also learned that we needed to be supportive of our team, or maybe reminded that we needed to continue to be supportive of what people were facing, because none of us knew how to work through this. So being supportive, helping through challenges that they were facing each day was really important. We also realized that, and others did too, doing more with less is something that we had to work through. We had to monitor supplies, usage of those supplies, to make sure that we were operating as safely as possible for our residents and each other. Another learning, managing expenses and move-ins were very crucial during this time. We found new ways to market to our potential customers through virtual tours, virtual open houses, and even traditional phone calls.
I love it. Yeah. And I think, the communication and the transparency is key, right? To really just keep people, letting them know what's going on in communities. We're in this 24-hour news cycle too, that we almost need that in the communities itself. And I know you guys did a really good job, because I think I'm even signed up for your guys' newsletter. So I would get those notifications as well as to what was going on. And I know you guys have been an early believer and really one of the providers that have been adopting technology. And how have you seen technology change from day-to-day operations for your teams? And if you faced any challenges, what did you face when rapidly adopting to new procedures and policies in light of COVID?
Totally. Thank you. So technology for us has been and continues to be a partner for our organization. Simply, one thing we did was we just got all of our communities using an Excel document to track and trend personal protective equipment, PPE, to assure that we had at least a 14-day supply on hand in case it is needed. We also focused on virtual visits and tours and online marketing. This became common for us. And once people got over the initial, okay, how does this work? And those types of things, we just embraced it. And I'm grateful for that. We also hosted virtual wellness classes, educational events, and support groups for family and friends. We've been blessed as an organization to have fantastic tools such as Eversound and Rendeavor. Eversound gives our residents the ability to hear things they have a harder time, as we all struggle with hearing as we age. We utilize this tool every day with music therapy groups, socially distanced, of course, communications with families, church services, and many, many other things. One of my favorite examples with use of Eversound is having our door or window visits, when we were really in the thick of COVID, to still ensure those visits for our residents and families. So it was difficult for residents obviously for anyone to hear through glass and doors. But when you put on the headphones and you have that transmitter and the families are on the other side and everybody's wearing them and talking, it really helps. It almost feels like the glass isn't there. And I think that has been a blessing and one of my most favorite pictures and scenarios that I wanted to make sure I shared. With Rendeavor, we found that we can continue to virtually travel outside of our building, regardless if there's a pandemic happening or not. Going to people's neighborhoods and places all over the world has helped our residents get through these tough times. So the use of technology has given us the ability to still meet with each other, to see each other, to keep up that relationship amongst one another. And we've used that to also do interviews for new team members and just to stay connected with each other. It's been really important.
Yeah. And I think it's a perfect segue into the next thing I wanted to talk about in terms of like new team members, right? And like staff recruitment and retention is always on the forefront of senior living industry. You know, it's one of those buzz topics. And, you know, how are you and your organization able to keep teams motivated during such a challenging time?
Sure. Yes. And that is something that from the very beginning of COVID and things, it's like, you know, we need to make sure we're appreciating people because they are working so hard to serve our folks. It's very difficult. And so again, much credit goes to our teams in the field, our administrators, senior staff. We were just brainstorming ways to be servant leaders to them and also remind people to still have fun because we are human and we need to try. And then making sure we're recognizing that hard work. So we brought in food trucks. The residents and staff were able to go out socially distanced and get food from a variety of different food trucks. You know, ways to engage new and potential team members by streamlining hiring processes, you know, consistent contact and just being reliable to them and being open and honest with what we were facing helped. You know, transparency is really, it's crucial during the times of uncertainty. And I believe our leaders did this. We also are continuing to find new ways to draw in new team members as far as, you know, what can make us stand out? What can make ABHM stand out? As far as like, you know, if it is pay, if it is reminding them why we do what we do, finding out why serving seniors, why healthcare, what's your why, has been really, really important. Being flexible, trying to make sure that people have a work-life balance, making sure that they feel heard with suggestions is, again, crucial. And also, if something can't happen the way that somebody wants it to be, explaining why we have to do something because of a regulation. You know, wearing the PPE is hard. It's warm, but we're doing it to keep everybody safe. And we're grateful that people are following those rules.
Yeah.
Our team members, the last thing I had was they're just one of our most important assets. And we want to serve them as they help us serve our residents and families.
Yeah. And I think you bring up a great point of like getting back to that why, right? Because, you know, the majority of us are in senior living for the right reasons to help improve that quality of life for some of the, you know, for some of the older adults out there. And I think really reminding that and making sure that people feel heard and, you know, even outside of senior living, I know that's important in every workforce, right? That people feel heard, feel appreciated, and that their ideas are taken seriously. And it's awesome to hear that you guys are being proactive in that and finding the situations to take advantage of that in good ways, right? Because there's a lot of those times people on the front lines that you might not be directly associated with that problem, but you can hear it and then can make changes, whether it's policy or procedures and go from there.
Agreed. Agreed. Yes.
And, you know, COVID has changed a lot in the senior living industry. Some people would say that it's really sped up this tech boom almost, but what major changes did you not expect to see?
Well, I actually visited a little bit with our CEO, Jeff Honslow. You know, he shared that he didn't really have any idea what a pandemic would bring, and nor did any of us. I think we were all humbled and amazed with the patience and understanding of our residents and their loved ones. Our team members, they pushed through. And what I found to be one of the neatest reflections is that we all really became one while striving to keep our people safe and focusing on our residents and just getting them what they needed. So that, I think it was just a reminder maybe that we all have a purpose and that we're all one, and we need to serve our residents in any way we can.
Yeah. I've seen it in my experience too, is that like we all just kind of come together, no light between the shoulders, all working towards a common goal or purpose and really getting aligned on that. It's one of the things that I did not expect to see, and it really came out of that for even my own personal life. And what fundamental components of the industry do you see that haven't been disrupted by the pandemic, and why do you think that is?
So technology was not really, it was not only uninterrupted, it became the backbone of many new changes during COVID. If you think about it, like we were able to connect with people almost like in person to keep moving forward. While we were limited in many ways, technology continued to free us to do many things. As I mentioned earlier, we used it to connect with families and residents. We had the capability of telemedicine, but it became almost commonplace, to do those things. And we're still going through some growing pains with that as far as, staff time to do those things, but people pulled together to make it happen quicker. And to make it all work from a regulatory perspective too. So that's been good. One thing that we did is we created videos from our subject matter experts on like the vaccine, and it helped us to communicate with our families, our residents, and our team members on the COVID-19 vaccine and how important it was to get it. So I don't really see technology being uninterrupted. That was kind of cool how we were able to just go.
If you could provide 3 takeaways from your experience that other operators can take and expect for the senior living industry for 2021, what would those be?
Sure. So I thought a little bit about this and I added a 4th one.
Okay. I love it.
So occupancy growth, managing expenses, being the employer of choice, and looking ahead to be prepared for what the future is going to bring. I believe that all of us operating in senior living currently have to look at our occupancy and rebuilding a bit after COVID. It's important to look at the landscape of the future and what that's going to be, because our seniors, they're looking for new ways to receive care beyond the traditional nursing home, and we have to find ways to meet and exceed those expectations. We see struggles with single site providers and more consolidation or mergers. Our CEO shared that really no matter the situation, we have a responsibility to our residents. They come first, despite the challenges that we're facing. We are there for them and their loved ones.
No, I love it. And I think you hit on some very important topics, and if you guys continue to focus on those, you'll continue to be, one of the leaders in this space. And my final question off script, Shanna, being a Harry Potter fan, which house do you identify with?
Gryffindor. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I have the headband and the socks that you bought me. I still have them. So, when I'm feeling it a lot, I just throw on the headband and the socks.
Hey, I love it. I definitely identify as Gryffindor, but when I've taken the quiz online, it says I'm a Hufflepuff, but I will admit that to everybody here. So
that's so funny. I love it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Shanna, for your time today and continuing to be a leader in this space. I've really enjoyed our relationship over the last few years, and excited for what the future holds.
Me too. Thank you so much again for the opportunity, Matt. Appreciate you.